Saint-Colomban welcoming you back to the Alley Cat Workshop. This video is going to be a little bit different than all the other ones because I want to give you some feedback on a Christmas market that I participated in over this past weekend. So that was on December 11th and 12th, 2021. And it was organized by the local Boy Scout chapter. So some interesting lessons in that event. It was my very first fair of the sort, so I learned quite a bit. I showed up with the following inventory. I had 31 of these snowmen of different sizes and different shapes. Snowmen, snow women. I had, and all of them had these really nice little scarves, right? So it looked cute. And also had 9 little reindeers like these. This is from a video that Matthias Wandel issued a number of years ago. I just used this plan and I made a bunch of these. And I showed up with 9 of them at the fair. The prices for the items went from $10, so the reindeer, and I had 3 of these little guys in Paducah. They were $10, and then it went in increments of 5 up to $40 for the much larger snowmen that I had in inventory, which was pretty easy to assign. I did give one of the items. It was a $35 snowman. I did give one of those as a door prize. And the reason I gave it is I wanted to give actually something rather substantial for the door prize. And the second thing is it was one of these snowmen that was in the $35 range, but it looked completely different than the others. And I figured, okay, that one's unique. Let's just take out a lot so that the display actually looks a little bit more consistent. My total inventory, starting off, I had $790 worth of inventory when you added everything up. And I ended up selling $550 worth of those items, which is, you know, actually pretty good. I'm left with items that were either $25 or $30. Those items did not move at all. So, you know, walking in, I really didn't know how things were going to play out. Was it going to be really fast? You know, was my display going to sell out? Or was it going to be really slow? And it actually turned out to be more on the slower side. And I'll tell you why in a few minutes. Now, a lot of good, a little bit of bad, and even less of ugly. But I want to go through a couple of points so that you understand, you know, get some of the lessons that I had from this experience. First thing I have to say is I was overall pretty well prepared. I was pretty happy with that. I had a couple of boxes, 2 boxes that were easy to carry inside of the event area, and that made my life very easy just to set up and to move things around. I had 1 box that had the entire inventory, so all 31 snowmen and 9 reindeer in 1 box, and I had another box with my kit. And in my kit, I had a lot of really useful equipment. Here's an example. I had my branding plate. I took that off the wall, brought it with me. I bought a stand so that it would be front and center on the display and it would show who I was, what my business was. I had business cards. I bought some Avery business card pages. Really nice, really clean, easy to set up. Printed those up. They looked really good. Off you go. I also created, with the same type of Avery paper, some price cards. So there was my logo and the price on it, and that, you know, again, enhanced the display. I had bought a tablecloth that actually matched the pattern that you see on the scarves. Now, this is the material I'm using for the scarves. I don't have the tablecloth with me. It's back at the house. We're actually going to use that, because it's a really nice tablecloth. But it gave, again, an idea of branding for the display. I had an extension cord and a phone charger. I did not need those, but in case, I did have them with me. I had a cash box. The cash box had $75 worth of change. So in there was $25 of loonies. And for all of those of you that are not Canadian, I will let you guess what a loonie is. No, I'm not the loonie. And I also had 50 bucks worth of $5 bills. Now the reason I kept it only with loonies and fives is that everything that I had to sell was in increments of 5, so that made it easy. And nobody bargained me for a lesser price or anything like that. That did not happen. So I had plenty of cash on hand to be able to give change. But I also had a Square credit card reader, and I opened up an account with Square so that I could take credit card swipes. I did get a couple of those on Saturday. On Sunday, it was really the smaller items that moved. The other thing that I did is, and I should have done a lot more, so we'll talk about some of the bad later, but let me jump on this good point. So on the morning of the event, I took a picture of the display, posted that on Facebook, and I actually ended up getting a lot more sales via my friends on Facebook than through the display or through the event. Because a lot of my friends were looking at the stuff I'm making and saying, we want to encourage you, we want to help you out, or they just like, we really love what you did, we want to get some of these items. And so I ended up selling a lot of my items via my friends on Facebook or social media. And that was really good. Now, some of the bad. Okay, so at the end of the event, there's a lady that was sitting right in front of me that came back and she said, can I give you some feedback? And I said, please, I'll welcome it. Because things were really going slow at that point, nothing was moving. And she goes, your display looks a little flat. And in fact, everything was on the table, tablecloth was there, but this was the end. At the end, this is what my display looked like. And with a bare, not very much items left, it looked a little bit bare. So what she told me is, just put a box on the table, move some items higher so that you get a bit of a impression of depth. Or get some display, like a step, and I could build that pretty easily so that I could display some of my items and give a little bit more depth to my display. So I'll take that as a note, and I invite you, if you're going to do a fair like this, do the same thing. I also noticed that people were looking for smaller items. So my reindeer moved quite well. These two guys, oddly enough, didn't move very well. But why? Because, well, they're little statues of snowmen. That's all they are. They're not candles. Like, you guys know my little tea light candle holders for my snowmen. Those items are useful, quote unquote, or air quotes. They're useful when you bring them into your house. These are just little decorations, and they didn't move. I only sold one of these. But the items that did move were the items that were a smaller price tag. So that leads me to believe that people are showing up and they probably have a budget. They're probably telling, I'm only going to spend 50 bucks. I'm only going to spend 100 bucks, whatever. And then they're looking for smaller items or items that are cheaper to buy. So yeah, maybe a couple of more expensive, like the taller 12-inch high snowmen, maybe one or two of those for the odd exceptions where people are going to buy that. But really people, what I noticed, they were looking for smaller ticket items. Those actually moved, and I ended up selling all of them. The other thing that I noticed is I had snowmen and reindeer, and that was it. Maybe a little bit more variety in my display would have been better. Like maybe, turn some small Christmas ornaments, put them on a display on a tree or something like that. Maybe that would have moved, whatever. But just snowmen, that was, if I had to redo this, if I had a mulligan, I would have more items than just snowmen on my display. The other thing too is that publicity was lacking, so I should have put a link to the event ahead of time to say, okay, I'm going to be part of this event, I'm going to participate. But also, and this was out of my control, the Boy Scouts also did not do a whole lot of publicity. So yeah, we did get some traffic, but it was really more word of mouth than actually getting a lot of people to show up. So publicity, you look for that, and if the event organizers aren't doing a lot of publicity, then take the initiative and do more on your own. Now let's talk about the ugly. The weather. We were unfortunately hit with on Saturday with a full day of freezing rain and rain, which meant that the event, thank God they had a plan B, was held indoors. Kind of lost a little bit of the magic of the event because you would expect a Christmas market to be outdoors, to have a little bit more festive, like more of that look and feel, and unfortunately that was not the case. Hopefully next year we get better weather, not too cold, certainly no freezing rain, no rain, and then we have an event that's with a funner crowd, or a funner event itself. So that's a quick roundup of what happened on that day. Overall, I'm very happy with the event, and I'd like to thank my friends who helped me out and gave me a lot of orders, and I'd like to thank the folks from my city who passed by and did buy some of my items as well. If you're interested in getting one of these items, my email is below. I'd be glad to discuss things with you, get them shipped to you. I've done that with my friends on Facebook. So I'd be glad to entertain you buying some of these. Again, these are $30, these are $25, $10, and these actually are for my family. These are house gifts for our Christmas party. So that's it, gang. Thanks a lot for watching. Subscribe if you haven't done so. I'd appreciate that. Leave a comment. I'd appreciate that as well. And hope to see you soon.